Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Warhammer 2 Total War. Today I'm going to, not really preview, but sort of give you my first impressions and generally tell you what I think about the new FLC Lord Rakarth and new patch for the game. But mostly I'm using this new addition to the game as a sort of gateway, if you will, to talk a little bit about the Warhammer Total War franchise in general, so both the first game and the second, and all of the DLC surrounding it. Now, I haven't been covering this game all that extensively. I did cover the Grom the Paunch DLC, which excited me to no end, and I didn't cover the Wood Elves DLC, which was really, really good, but I don't have it yet. Still haven't bought it, and, well, be perfectly honest with you, finances are a little bit tough. Recently, since, you know, the whole pandemic situation and everything, I've been, yeah, it's been a strain on pretty much everything, budget-wise, and, yeah, it's difficult, for everyone globally, I think, so I'm not going to complain too much about it, but, I haven't played that. I had, like, other factions to play that I'd never tried before, and, you know, just thought I'd wait for a sale or something for the DLC, regardless of that fact. Rakarth is voiced by someone you might know.
Beasts, rampage.
Does that sound familiar?
Master of all.
If you've seen Game of Thrones, I think you will probably recognize the voice actor. I think that's probably what he's best known for, but our blades are sharp indeed. So, what makes him so unique and awesome as a FLC? So, well, first of all, it's free. Second of all, he does have some very unique campaign mechanics that come with him, and that's going to be something I'm going to be talking a lot about in the sort of later stage of the video, the uniqueness of this game. But for now, let's focus on the latest Dark Elf, or the latest Druchii Lord to be added to the game. He starts, in Mortal Empires at least, in Albion, and he does have a starting position in the Vortex Campaign as well, though I won't be covering that today. He starts right here at the Isle of Wights, and from there you're supposed to go up to Concarta and the Citadel of Lead, consolidate Albion, and from there you have free reign. He also starts with a very, very, very neat little mission that after acquiring a certain number of slaves, you have the opportunity to confederate this province here, the Broken Lands. Harganeth, I think it was? Yes, this is Nagarond. I think this is Harganeth, though I don't quote me on that. But anyways, you have the opportunity to confederate should you wish it. And you should. This is a very nice little boost to your income and whatnot. But anyways, what's so unique about him apart from the starting position? Well, now he does have the restored port of Nagornath. Sorry about the pronunciation, first time I'm actually reading it. And it provides immunity to high seas attrition faction-wide. So not just to the Lord's army, to every army. Ooh, now that is quite neat, as you might think. That makes it so Black Arcs are no longer the be-all end-all of naval warfare and moving, well, there is no real naval warfare, but moving around the seas. With this, and you get it very early on, you can go anywhere you want, and that sort of freedom is generally present in the game, but realistically you are sort of pushed in a certain direction. I mean, Nagarond, for example, has to consolidate the north and then move south, right? You can't just consolidate the Black Flood and then, I don't know, go down here and start fighting. It's just, it doesn't work, right? You're going to get attacked by your neighbours. Albion, on the other hand, is an island. And you might get attacked by the Bjornlings, and maybe you want to secure Norska, but not necessarily. And to prove that point, I went over into the Wasteland and into Marienburg. And I took Marienburg, and now I'm going to go after Altdorf, and then sort of try and control the Empire from Albion, and have that sort of be my thing, I suppose. Plus, I really like fighting the Empire with just monsters and all sorts of things. Speaking of, that's the second main feature. Well, that's actually the sort of primary main feature of this character are monsters. Every time you fight someone and win, depending on where in the world map you are, you will unlock different monsters, which you can recruit from the monster pens. These work pretty much like mercenaries would in some other Total War games or Regiments of Renown, except with Regiments of Renown you can only have one. With this, you can have as many as you want, or rather as many as become available through different actions. Different actions, you say? Well, yes. One way of getting them is winning battles with high casualties. Not on your side, on the enemy's side, of course. So that's going to happen pretty much all the time. If you attack an enemy full stack, that'll do it. You besiege one of the main holdings in a province, that'll do it. And you'll get plenty of animals. At first it'll be low-level stuff like these harpies and giant wolves, but later down the line you will unlock feral mammoths, feral carnosaurs, war hydras, and eventually, hopefully, the black dragon. This unit can be replenished by occupying, sacking, or raising high elf or wood elf settlements. So there you go. This is winning battles at sea, and basically when you mouse over it, it will tell you exactly where you need to go and what you need to do in order to get said unit. I don't recommend the Feral Manticore, it's not very good. Feral Stegodon is alright. Feral Mammoth is decent, but the War Mammoth is way better and you can't get it. So, for like the top-end players, like that play on very hard, or legendary difficulty and all of that, a lot of these units aren't going to be that useful. I mean, Harpies are absolutely just trash. They are one of the worst things in the game if you're playing on high difficulty. Some of these things, yeah, these are actually pretty good over here. Feral Carnosaur, I think, is decent. Feral Mammoth, you know, not that great. And Giant Wolves are like, well, in the absence of cavalry and stuff like that, they can be useful, but yeah, they're really not great. And besides, on Legendary, even Empire Archers and Crossbowmen will still break them, so, you know, not ideal. But what this does allow is for some very interesting interactions between your armies, and for some very interesting roleplay, because any army can hire from the monster pens. Oh yes, and thank hell for that, because hell, because dark on that, never mind.
Tamer of dragons.
If only this legendary lord can hire in his army from the monster pens, that would be an okay gimmick, and then, you know, you sort of move along. But now, with this, that opens up certain possibilities and tactics, and, well, also, let's say, for example, I'm about to get attacked by these guys. What I would do is I could hire a... let's see... Fire, Supreme Sorceress of Fire, there we go. Hire one. Pens. Boom. Now, I'm going to pay basically my entire budget for this, should I, if I choose to go through with it. Which I'm not, but I do want to keep her as a character for later. I will use her in like a couple of turns probably, so I haven't wasted anything by hiring her, not really. Thing is, though, like, yeah, that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting thing. It provides certain opportunities for you. Now, there is another way of gaining monsters, and that is through this here Convocation of the Hunters. And I'm going to perform one just for you, so you can see how that works. Basically, you either pay a little bit of money, you pay no money, or you pay a little bit of money and a little bit of slaves to unlock beasts. Obviously, Dark Warp beasts are extremely powerful, but you get only a few of them. And over here you get a large number of common Old World beasts, or a small chance of getting a small number of rare Old World beasts. So it's a dice roll, but basically the more you pay, the less risk there is in this sort of thing. So you know what, let's sacrifice some slaves and see what we got. Well, we've captured one That is 1 Black Dragon. And all of our armies, all of them, every single one of them, has 50% magic resistance and 10% physical resistance for War Hydras. Not too shabby. Speaking of, alright, you know what? I like that black dragon. We'll take it. Actually, will I take it here or down here with this army? I really want a black dragon in this army, but no, let's not do that. I need something a little bit higher quality in this army to what's it called? To fight off the Norskans. Anyways, that's pretty much how the campaign works, and campaign objectives, as you can see, for the long campaign are pretty much standard, as you'd expect. You do need to capture a certain amount of battle captives, and I've disabled the Chaos Invasion, so that's no longer going to be a problem. And there you go. Chapters look like this. So, you know, all things considered, very fun. Nice little neat addition to the game. Nothing too revolutionary. I mean, these units that are available through other factions anyway, but very cool method of recruiting them. Very neat that you don't have to actually build any buildings in order to get them. You can just sort of acquire them along the way, and it adds a really nice sort of sense of attachment and progression to your army, because, you know, soon I'm going to dump these Harpies and replace them for dragons, and you get to do that as you're sort of fighting battles and as you're going along, and not like when when you go back to your home recruitment province and then do it. Very nice. Anyways, though, that has been the character. Well, that's been the campaign. Now let's take a look at the character traits for Rakarth, and let's see what we have there. Well, these 3 lines are pretty much exactly the same as with every other Dark Elf Lord. The only thing that's different here are the mounts. So he has Brachus, which is a black dragon, and it's his unique black dragon. I think the difference is it's a little bit more powerful than a regular black dragon mount, so awesome. He has Eternal Hatred, which is, you know, it's not that bad, but it's not that great either. These wards, and Beast Tamer. So, charge bonus for Harpies, Cold Ones, Feral Manticores, basically for the beasts. And then we go over to his unique line of points and skills. So the first one is Carrion Crows. Income from looting, post-battles, and no upkeep cost for Harpies. Which would be great if the Harpies were any good. But they're not. They're terrible. They are basically on the same level as Fellbats for the vampires, except in the case of the vampires, you need to sort of use them because you don't have any range capabilities, other than the few human mercenaries or whatever you call them, the few human units that you have in the roster, but that doesn't really count, does it? So yeah, it's not great. Maybe if it made them upkeep free for the Lord's Army and free to recruit in the Lord's Army, and then you can spam them, that would be nice. That is, if you could only recruit them from the Beast Pens, and I'm like, I have 2 Harpies now, alright, I'll just take them, you know, they're free for this army, now I don't have anything else, then I think that would be considerably more powerful, and I don't think it would break the game all that much either, because, well, okay, you spawned an army of 20 Harpies, or 19 Harpies. Still weak as all hell. I mean, it's not going to beat much. So, yeah, I think that will be better, but for now, it's like this. Then you have free range, which is pretty useful, mainly because of the casualty replenishment rate, the enemy casualty replenishment, and local enemy province public order. The public order is actually really substantial. It's -8. That's quite a lot. You can sort of do a couple of things with that, like raiding to get the thing to revolt, and you can revive factions like that, and so on and so forth. It's not that useless, pretty decent, but the replenishment is also nice. That's like well, it's between level 1 and level 2 of the Elven Healing skill down here, and, you know, it stacks with it, obviously, so yeah, it's not bad. There is a hard cap on these things, though. Next, we have the breeding program. So Frost, Breath, and Abyssal Howl, and then plus attack. So basically it buffs these abilities. The melee attack for the Warhydras and the other fancier Warhydra unit is buffed. And then, yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. You do want to have Hydras and beasts of all shapes and sizes with this army, and this sort of goes towards that. And then, increased chance that beasts will be added when raiding, fighting battles, or occupying settlements. Excellent, you want to get this as soon as possible. Casualties captured post-battle, very, very important and necessary for the Druki. And then you obviously have this, which is Recruitment Rank. You get this very late in the game. This is not very useful for the recruitment thing, but the ambush success chance is very good, and the stalk is pretty darn neat too. And then you have Apex Predator, which is just a huge buff for fighting. So, finally, last piece of advice. If you want to play Rakarth optimally, generally if you want to play the Dark Elves optimally, what I would recommend is confederating Naggarond as soon as possible. How you're supposed to do it from Albion is, well, it's not easy. What I would recommend is after you confederate this province here, Haganeth, I think it was, but again, don't trust me on that. Actually, just might be Haganeth, and I'm paranoid that it's not, and I'm pronouncing it wrong the entire time. Anyways, after you confederate it, basically you want to fight in this area, surround Naggarond, get as many alliances and treaties with them as you can, apart from a military alliance, because that is it's counter-effective. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you're shooting yourself in the foot if you get a military alliance with them, because it makes them stronger, and you need them weak in order to confederate them. Call them into war if you want, against a whole bunch of people, and then break your alliance with them, maybe. Then you can do it, but it's a bit finicky. If you want to be more safe about it, defensive alliance is okay. Wait for them to be attacked by a bunch of people, surround them, give them gifts, be militarily a lot stronger than them, and then just confederate them. The reason you want to confederate Naggarond and not conquer it is because of the legendary lord and the de facto king of the Druki. He has a very special and important ability that's going to allow you to have infinite money. If you're interested about that, I have a video on the infinite money thing in Warhammer 2 that is still very much relevant. Nothing's changed since I've made that video, and it's, you know, there is quite some time. Quite some time ago I've made that video. Quite some time has passed. Anyways, that's it for the campaign and for the character. Now, I want to sort of kill two birds with one stone, end the turn, and talk to you about Warhammer 2 a little bit more generally, and why I love this game so much. Now, I haven't covered it all that extensively, like I mentioned, and I haven't done a Let's Play in a little bit of time, but I've been playing it on and off. And it is still, to this day, my absolute favourite Total War ever, of all time. And I say this with conviction, and also, I feel like I should bring to light the fact that I've played most of the Total War games that I really, really like in sort of preparation for this video. And I was, not for this specific video, but I knew I was going to talk about something like this at some point in the near future. So, I've played Rome 2, I've played the original Rome, I've played Medieval, I've played Shogun a little bit. I sort of went back to these games out of a sense of nostalgia, but not just nostalgia. I also wanted to see how they hold up now. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the things that I loved about Rome years ago, I still do. And it's still probably my second favourite game. Look, I love Medieval, it's awesome, but there's a lot of you know, I grew up with Rome, practically, you know what I mean? Like, that was my first entry into the Total War series. I learned to play Total War, and I've almost learned to love strategy games in general through Rome Total War, and, you know, that was sort of my introduction to the whole thing. And, yeah, you know, there's obviously going to be some, not so objective feelings when it comes to that game, but
Born to command.
that completely aside, can I actually get to... No, I can't, right? That's unfortunate. Excuse me for a second. Are there any chances I win this? Ooh, with the Sky Cauldron and all of those things, actually, yes. We'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, let's go... Kind of want to go down here and see what the Empire has army-wise, if anything. They have nothing. This is their only army, and it's recruiting, but it's horribly out of position. Perfect. Anyways, what Rome 2, Rome, Medieval, and all the other Total War games lack is diversity. I say that so provocatively on purpose, knowing full well the political connotations of it and all of that. It's variety, right? They lack variety. Now, it's all fine and well if you enjoy having a historically accurate title, and yeah, sure, maybe having the exact same unit roster for every single faction in the game, Three Kingdoms, is historically accurate and maybe appropriate, but to me personally, it's also extremely boring, because whether I start here, 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 or here, if I'm going to have the same units and I'm going to fight the exact same battles across the map might as well be 3 provinces wide, and that's it. Long and wide, and that's it, you know? It's a bit boring, right? It's a bit samey. Now, what Warhammer has, and I have to go to the main menu to show you this, is a sense of variety and depth and width, the likes of which has never been seen in a Total War game thus far. Every single faction in this game, every single faction plays completely differently to the next. We are talking about not just gimmicks, but fundamental gameplay mechanics. And not only that, every single legendary lord and different start within a faction plays completely differently, both in terms of the geography of where they start and the actual gameplay mechanics for each legendary lord. This means that in Rome 2, maybe I've completed a playthrough as Sparta, Macedon, one of the Roman families, I don't know, one of the barbarian tribes, and then that's it. The Germans, or the Germani, play a lot like the Gauls, which play a lot like the Britons. If you take it to Rome 2, it's pretty much a similar story again. Here, I mean, okay, Vlad and Isabella play exactly the same, but Heinrich Kemmler doesn't, because look at where he starts. And he's sort of allied to Chaos, which these guys aren't. That's a big thing, right? The endgame threat is kind of actually on your side in this. That's a big thing. And then Manfred is sort of, you know, we won't talk about Manfred. I have nothing but words of hate for Manfred. Not as a legendary lord, as a lore character, but anyways. Beastman, you know, have I told you the tragedy of the Beastmen? They are probably the worst done faction so far in the game, and I genuinely feel like I've wasted money when I bought this DLC, because it's just not a fun faction to play. But these are getting a rework in Warhammer 3, so there's, you know, there's hope for that. Let's take a look at some of the other factions too. Orcs? Well, first of all of their legendary lords play differently. Grom the Paunch has that cauldron thing, which completely transforms your entire game. And all of them start at different positions. Skarsnik is like max difficulty legendary Iron Man mode for this game, because his start is so bloody difficult, and, you know, generally he's not very strong.
You have my hammer.
The Dwarves? A different story altogether. I mean, they don't have the same unit types as all of the other factions do. I mean, think about that. Like, the vampires don't have archers. The High Elves are all about archers, right? And these guys are just like, well, like, I have no idea what to tell you. I mean, this is just insanity. All of this. There's lizard people with magics and dinosaurs and lizard people riding other lizard people, and not in that way, I mean in a military sense. That's just all sorts of wrong. And then we get to my favourite faction. And my favourite legendary lord, this little bastard here. Now, they've been nerfed in this patch a little bit, but, you know, the sort of core of and the spirit of the faction is still there. They've just reduced their ambush speed a little bit, ambush chance a little bit, they've reduced Skaven corruption a little bit, so on and so forth, but these guys have weapon steams, something that no other, barring from the Dwarves to some extent, with their flamethrowers and whatnot, they have weapon steams the likes of which no other faction has in this game. No other faction in the history of Total War. In Shogun you sort of had machine guns and stuff, but this puts everything in Shogun to shame. Gatling guns, or sorry, rattling guns, and Warplock Jezzails, and Plague Claw catapults, and Doom Flayers, and whatnot. I mean, this is almost modern warfare, right? Machine guns and sniper rifles against peasants from the Empire or from Bretonnia. Speaking of Bretonnia, where are they? Yeah, just horse lords, Rohan, effectively, right, with magics and stuff.
Of the lady be upon you.
What I'm talking about is the sort of variety that this game has that a lot of people just don't really pay attention to. I know quite a number of guys that just play the same two legendary lords over and over again. I unironically know people that have played the game for 3,000 hours and have only played as the Empire. Now listen, I respect that. I really, really do. If that floats your boat and that's your favourite, by all means. You know, by all means. If you enjoy it. But if you somehow, after, I don't know, maybe not 3, but 10,000 hours, get bored of the Empire, good news! And it's not only that either. I mean, there's also the Vortex Campaign, which is the same game you know and love from Mortal Empires. Except here, every lord has a different starting position. The map is a little bit smaller in total, but it's a little bit more focused. And you play it differently. Oh, by the way, he starts in Albion again. It's just that, you know, Albion's a little bit different in this mode, but yeah, anyways. There you go. Truly fascinating. I mean, Ikitclaw starts in the Volcanic Isles here. That's very, very different. That alone provides a whole new experience for Ikitclaw. And not only that, the way you conduct the campaign is different. There's no Chaos Invasion here. You need to complete the rituals, which, look, I prefer Mortal Empires and pretty much exclusively play that, but occasionally you just want to spice things up and freshen things up a little bit, and I've started a Ikitclaw campaign when I wanted that, and it's been very, very fun. It's just something new. And that's sort of the theme of this game. Something new. Whenever you log in, there's something new for you to try out and do. Not just in the sort of grand scheme of things and campaigns like this, but when it comes to armies and tactics too. I mean, have you ever tried a Necrofex Colossus Doomstack? Okay, maybe Doomstacks will bore you after a certain time, but if you've never tried it, you know, you can try that. Or have you heard of the economy exploit for the Skaven? That exists. What about the infinite money feature at this point for the Dark Elves? Basically because They're not fixing it. It's been there for years, and it's an intended mechanic. It's just a little bit overpowered. The way it works is you just stack all of your slaves in the same province, and if you play as Malekith, the slave decline rate is actually almost insignificant. So keeping them all in one same province doesn't really provide much of a difference. I had it to the point where around turn 60, I was producing more armies each turn, like every single turn from Nagarond, I would make more armies, and my income would continue to rise. I couldn't spend money quickly enough by turn like 50, 60. If you really focus on that, if you really get into it. You know, if you play a little bit more slowly, maybe up to 100, but either way, that works. Some of the high elf economic and military exploits, Sisters of Avalon span,
this world needs
the tax rate increase for a single province thing. Those are features. You can try that. That's something new for you to try. You want to change the difficulty? Okay, what about the Chaos Invasion? Want to play it on Legendary or turn it off? That's something new. It's a new story, it's a new campaign, and it's a new thing that happens in the game, right? Something entirely different every single time, and fresh. And the replayability is off the charts, right? And then, even if that's not enough, then there's the laboratory. What you do here? Well, here you just screw around, basically, with all sorts of modifiers of every single type, and it's fascinating. It's truly fascinating. It's a funny little thing. I mean, yeah, it's not the core of the game, but it's a funny little thing. Yeah. This is an expensive game, don't get me wrong. With all the DLC, with the first game being, you know, technically a part of this one as well, this is an expensive game, but my god, is it worth it? Now, that's not to say that this is a perfect game. The siege battles are just atrocious, right? The siege battles are absolutely atrocious. And there are things that need to be fixed. The chaos thing is, you know, it's getting there in the next game. The Beastmen are tragically bad. But nevertheless, there's constant updates. I mean, you know, this guy, the one I was talking about at the beginning of the video, he got added like today in the game, or yesterday, depending on when I upload this. There's constant updates. There's a constant stream of content, and you can tell that it's a passion project. The people that work on this game love working on this game because of the little details, the little Easter eggs they put in the quest titles, for example. One of the newest quests added to the game as the Druki is Grand Theft. It's not Altdorf, but it's something along those lines. Right? It's hilarious, and you can tell that they just put those little things in there just because they love it. You know, it's not a corporate decision that you must include a reference to this because it's popular. No, it's like it's a funny little, probably inside the office joke that someone made, and like they now put it in as an official quest to sort of have a little bit of a giggle out of. It's tiny little details like that make this game truly amazing. And well, you know what? I think that's about everything I had to say for this video. This is a great title, and it's my favourite Total War game ever, and probably my favourite strategy game ever as well. So there you go. Just really happy that it's getting a lot of love. It's very popular. People play it. People buy it. And this enables the developers to continue, you know, trickling content and continue expanding it. And yeah, it's really nice. Though I will admit, probably a little bit overpriced. Probably. I mean, $20 for the Wood Elves DLC. Still today, years after its release, for just some green elf boys. You know, that's a bit much. That's in my modest opinion. But take a look at Paradox and like their DLC model, and you realise that, you know, it's not that different. So Probably can't really complain either, can I? Anyways, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for the rest of the content that I produce on the channel. Sorry you didn't see much gameplay here, but basically I can't really play the game and talk at the same time. It would the audio part of the video would be kind of shot to shit. But anyways, I'll see you all next time. Have fun, take care, and bye bye.